Welcome back. In the coming days, the United States Congress is likely to vote on a bill recommending formal investigation of Planned Parenthood, possibly culminating in cutting of all federal subsidies to the program. This is a huge deal and based on some genuinely f***ed up bullshit. For those of you who don't know, Planned Parenthood was unofficially created in 1916 when three outstanding women medical professionals, Margaret Sanger, Ethel Byrne, and Fania Mendel, opened the U.S.'s first birth control clinic in Brooklyn, New York. Want to talk about some women doing some Anyway, their little clinic organized into the American Birth Control League in 1938 and became part of the Planned Parenthood Foundation in 1942. The nonprofit organization has provided reproductive health services for almost 100 years in the United States, including one of the most controversial medical procedures ever devised, abortion, the practice of deliberately ending a pregnancy. And Planned Parenthood has faced staunch opposition for just as long. Recently, a group called the Center for Medical Progress, an organization sponsored by Operation Rescue, which is another organization self-described as one of the leading pro-life Christian activist organizations in the nation. Anyway, they released videos that feature discussions with Planned Parenthood employees about the sale of fetal tissues and organs. Terrible, right? Horror of horrors, I'm sure. Okay, but is the issue in these videos the content or the tone? Let me help you out. Okay, so I find that the easiest way to find out what an organization is doing is to take a peek at their financials or their annual reports. So here is what Planned Parenthood is spending, strictly speaking. In their 2013-2014 annual report, Planned Parenthood reported performing 327,653 abortions, with their total medical services and procedures performed that year coming in at 10,590,433. Abortions make up 3.093% of all services provided by Planned Parenthood in the year 2013 to 2014. The end. That being said, not a lot of abortions for a company known for them, right? Anyway, it's a complicated and contentious issue. So let's try an experiment to wrap our heads around it. I want to answer 3 questions. The first is this: how much could Planned Parenthood be making from these sales given the worst possible scenario? Let us assume that of the 327,653 abortion procedures completed, 100% of them result in a donation of harvested tissue and organs. Okay, I hate saying harvest in the same sentence as I say organs and tissue, by the way, but I'm doing this for you. Okay, now let us assume that half of that number performed are after the 20-week mark and through the application of Digazin as described in the aforementioned videos. I'm not going to describe that process here. It's a little much for most viewers, and it's not necessary for me to educate you. Okay, so where we're at is about 160,000 fetuses are aborted by that method. Assume each of these yield the full $300 in tissue and organs, while the younger specimens only yield the minimum $50. For both, Planned Parenthood stands to make about $57 million in revenue. Well, taking into account expenses, less the federal subsidy, of course, Planned Parenthood stands to make about $0 and about 0 cents. Oh, that's per abortion of any type. Wow. A whole $0 and a whole 0 cents. I bet you're wondering how I got that number, right? Here's how. The federal government subsidies of Planned Parenthood do not apply to abortion services. They have to absorb all costs themselves or get the pregnant women to pay all of their expenses plus a decent profit for the company. Anyone have any figures on that? Anyone? I didn't think so. The point here is that Planned Parenthood isn't really getting anything from selling these fetuses, especially considering that less than half of women actually opt to donate their aborted fetuses, cutting those numbers in half and likely leaving Planned Parenthood in the hole for most of these procedures. And of course there is the fact that the $50 to $300 is not a fee tagged onto each specimen, but a reimbursement. Most clinics usually give to Planned Parenthood for the cost of packaging, shipping, and transportation. They don't have to give them shit. They could just take their medical specimens and off, giving Planned Parenthood the middle finger as they drive away. So that leads us to the second question. Who are these bird-throwing ass buying this sick shit, and why do they hate babies so goddamn much? Well, according to the video, one of the biggest companies Planned Parenthood has for this sort of thing is called STEM Express. Now, STEM Express describes itself as a multi-million-dollar company that supplies human blood, tissue products, primary cells, and other clinical specimens to biomedical researchers around the world to fuel regenerative medicine and translational research. Now, I did a touch of digging and I found that STEM Express provides specimens for the following: Penn State, UCLA, Duke, Stanford, Dartmouth, Yale, UConn, Harvard Medical School, Johns Hopkins University, and my personal favorite, the United States Food and Drug Administration. Never in my life have I ever seen a more wretched hive of scum and villainy than schools. If only the US government knew the horrible things being done, they would, I guess, buy some. Final question is this: what's the issue? People donating blastocysts and undeveloped fetuses to medical research is old as shit. That's not news. You know what is news? People like Deborah Nucatola eating what looks like a really delicious garden salad while discussing in frank language the process of aborting a post-20-week fetus and harvesting its tissue and organs with someone she thought was a medical professional. Had she known she was speaking to a group that probably understands the process, effects, and harm of the procedure about as much as anyone off the street, she probably would have amended her tone a little bit. You see, Nucatola understands at what point she's harming an infant and at what point she's destroying organic material. You don't. They don't. I don't. None of us are doctors with that specialty. She is. Look at it this way. I'm a legislative analyst. I read and interpret bills and statutes all day long. After a while, you start to get why certain bills pass and why others fail. I'm sure I could have a frank discussion with another professional about why some bill that cost thousands of lives was destined to fail. Obviously was going to fail. But if I were talking to you, my tone would be different. It's not about being condescending, it's just understanding that not everyone has the experience and education that you do, and not expecting them to have a professional understanding of issues that are very emotional for other people. Did Dr. Nucatola make a mistake in setting aside tact for an emotionally contentious issue for a business meeting? Maybe. Does that make her a mustache-twirling villain? No. We should always keep our minds on that everyone is human and flawed and are doing their best with what they have. And in the end, most people just want to do the right thing. And I'm talking about people on both sides of the issue, everyone involved. We all need to be doing quite a bit less talking and quite a bit more listening. And there you go. Have a nice day.